Alright, let's see these stairs. I want you to imagine something. Now, it don't matter what you put on the front side. What matters is that just like a rice paddy, each step is just a little bit below the next one. Water flows downhill. You grow plants. See, like there's plants already growing in this. This is a set of stairs. This outside wall could be made out of mud brick. It could be made out of straw and mud. It could be made out of lath. Depends on the type of lath that you consider in modern days. But basically, what I was thinking is that each one of these terraces, let's say instead of it just being a step, it's the entire length of your interior wall. So it goes from here out to here, right? And on the very top one, you've got, let's say this is your fruit tree. Now probably about right there, you'll have a rope attached to it. And in the center, you have a center mast. And all those ropes will go up to your center mast. You put little planters on them. Anything that needs a lot of shade stays underneath. And anything that doesn't need a lot of shade, you can grow up top. And that way, whether you're on the ocean or in the middle of the desert or even in a forest and using the trees alive, just let them live and use them structurally. A Roman marching fort could be easily made. Now this right here would be a terrible place for the Romans to stop. Kind of a Calcresa type situation. I can imagine barbarians, arrgh, the Gaul, or possibly the Germans. Yeah. At Calcresa, that would have been the Germans. Although Germans is actually a derogatory word invented by Julius Caesar, just so you know. Calling themselves Germans would be kind of like us calling ourselves the dirty fuckers. But if you're seeing, oh man, I am almost all the way down to the riverbed. I'm having a little bit of difficulties. Holy Jesus, you guys. But the inside wall would only be, because you're taking 3 feet worth of dirt down to possibly 9 feet, depending on how big you want it. And you're making each terrace about 2 feet by 30 feet by 1.5 feet. But all the dirt that you're building the stairs out of, and the outside wall, which basically would look like this. See how it's at an angle and it's got stuff growing all up it? Yeah, the outside wall would be kind of like that, mostly blackberries. And then the part that is the walking path would basically be the ditch that all of this dirt came out of. And right down there, yes, there's the riverbed. Oh my God. Looks like there's garbage in it. I definitely don't want to go hang out there. But those of you who have ever seen Land Before Time know what that is. That people, for excellence, certainly my brothers, and sisters, that is a tree star. Okay, moving on. I always thought the way they ruffle at the edges, it would be really cool if somebody basically made a dragon out of them. And, oh, there's that tree star. We love tree stars, don't we? But basically use them as the scales on a dragon. Oak leaves would be really cool. Those are pretty alright. But it's about the terrain that you're in, because each type of terrain is just a little bit different. The more I go through here, the more it looks all Lord of the Ringsy to me. X marks the spot. The pirates done it right there. It's just the way things fall in the jungle, I guess. And this is what I'm in. This is seriously the filthy, nasty, disgusting beautifulness that I'm in. Right there, crest of a hill. That would be an excellent place to build. We're not right in the center of Buck and Tacoma. And we're basically in a little valley here going all the way through. Different places would require a little bit different methods, but most of the stuff that I learned from people who know what the hell they're talking about. And that's pretty important. I am definitely not the best dog trainer on earth, but Lana knows what she's talking about when it comes to training dogs. And most of what I learned from getting lucky, because I had extremely intelligent dogs, but also because Lana taught me a little bit on how to communicate with them. I knew how to communicate with cats. I used to have one. His name was Smokey. He was my first pet. Now look at that edge. It's not an extremely far way down. It would definitely hurt. I personally wouldn't be able to make it out of that if I fell in. But it says there's a water source at least part of the year. So, when I was trying to go to Miss Peach's and start a GoFundMe, that GoFundMe was to try to get some land somewhere in Colorado similar to this, although there really isn't any in Colorado anymore. There is here, though, in Washington State. Marijuana is still legal here. This right here looks absolutely beautiful. Doesn't it? Goes right into the river. There's a few chunks and pieces all broken up in there. And it kind of shows you what I'd want to do with the trees. Use them for temporary disability or destability. You want the ground to be stable, but you want it to have some way of getting nutrients through to the new growth. And that's part of what's important about having other biodegradable matter in there that's from the same area. Some of the organisms that you're going to be growing are going to be dependent upon certain nutrients, and those nutrients don't come from just straight minerals. By that I mean that the minerals that are in the ground. If you were to just stick a chunk of lime in the ground, really, there ain't much that's going to grow anywhere near it. It's highly acidic. Now, a little bit of lime might actually be important for the soil, depending on what you're growing. But only a little bit, and like I said, depending on what you're growing. Alright, still by the riverbed. But the idea is not to bring in 10,000 truckloads of dynamite and explosives and building materials and tearing everything up and bringing in a bunch of stuff from one mountain that you had to blow up for the resources and drag them to another mountain to destroy its resources. How about, instead of blowing up a mountain full of lime and transporting it here and laying a bunch of cement in places like this, how about you just take a look at the scenery, find out what's best for you and best for your uses, and adjust accordingly. All throughout here, I've seen many a place, not down here by the river, but a little further up, that would be absolutely perfect for like a small shack. The whole reason for wanting to model it after a Roman marching fort is because it has a defensive feel. It's not that you feel important when you're inside of it. It's that you feel comforted and safe. And it's also kind of designed in such a way as if you want to get out of there, you can pretty quick, fast, and in a hurry, but it's going to be a lot tougher coming in. I figure everybody has a right to life, and I was trying to get money for property in Colorado for a few people that really deserve it. What they didn't deserve is all the stuff that they got because of this. Like all of the crap that people gave them, all of the crap that they had to hear, all of the stuff that makes them afraid. It's all messed up. But here it doesn't exist. Then again, here they don't exist. My vehicle is full of all sorts of stuff. And I could probably make a Batman suit. I know that sounds crazy, like schizophrenic crazy. But really, if you look at the technology that we have today, you see those videos from Dubai all the time. You see that Colin Ferguson made himself a flying bike. Quite a few people have done that now, actually. A lot of ideas that I had growing up, I've gotten to see come to fruition in my lifetime. But that's the wonderful thing about seeing so many of my ideas come to fruition. Look at that. Is that it wasn't just me having those ideas. I grew up in a generation, the 1980s, when you got some of the most prolific, underestimated, and misunderstood minds on the planet. The 1980s United States, when it was basically an economic and psychological witch hunt. It was stupid. It was basically, all right, let's go make everybody paranoid of the crazies and they'll let us do whatever we want. And sure enough, it's worked ever since. But one thing that we did get out of the 80s is a sense for tolerance and understanding in a lot of things that people might previously have not thought about. Like the preservation of our rainforests, the preservation of our children and their future. The laws that have screwed you guys over most of your lives. Those of you who have had to feel it the most, oh, Mobley will love this. I'll try not to move it, but it's kind of a heart. Alright, I guess not. I tried, Mobley. Lichen. It's two different organisms. Oh, look at this one right here. It's basically what looks like coral and what looks like seaweed. There are so many different organisms here, all grown together. Sometimes those right there, they'll grow into a big tuft that falls down. They're pretty cool. And also sometimes they turn into what looks like big long beards. I don't know if it's the same thing. I do know that the big long beards that grow off some of the trees here, at different points I've seen them touching the ground. Nowadays, most people have run through and knocked those beards off the trees like years ago. I suppose it takes a while for them to grow that big. I don't know. I do know there's flowers all over the place. Different colors. There's like 5 different varieties just in this picture. And that's kind of where I was when I first really got serious about thinking about making a castle. I was in Chapel, Nebraska. I had just left all of this pristine beauty. Look at that. Aren't those roots gorgeous? Look the way they come out of the ground. Kind of looks like kanji. Oh, there's an eyeball. Or a set of lips trying to kiss you. Or maybe that in the center kind of looks like a lopsided bug. Who knows? Use your imagination. Bob Ross that shit. But when I thought about making a castle, this is specifically the terrain that I thought about building in. This is exactly what a Roman would not want to get into. But then again, we're down at the bottom now. That's up there at the top. There's the valley. That's the top. If people wanted to come and get you, they would have to go through all of that. Some of it very loose. Some of it stuff like this right here. Oh my God. You just barely tap it and it'll shake just a little bit. Well, imagine stomping on that real hard because you're running real quick. It'll roll your ankle immediately. This stuff is so wet. And there you go, more trees coming out. The whole idea is that you're basically making a garden. Anything that's pokey or prickly goes on the outside wall. The rest of the food goes on the inside wall. You grow it, you're good to go. You could set up tents underneath. You could put an RV underneath, I suppose. I'm just looking for an area that's about, I want to say 60 feet by 60 feet overall, so that I've got plenty of room for digging the trench. But also, if the right terrain is picked out, you might not even have to do that. There are lots of areas here that, well, further up the mountains anyway, they're pretty remote. They're pretty easily defensible as far as seeing or hearing people coming, but they're also difficult for people to see you. And then if somebody wants to come get you, they got to come in with snipers. And if you're not carrying a gun, they shouldn't have any reason to come in with snipers. Cool. Another square type growth. So what does it look like? Does it look like the Green Man? Does it look like Jerry Garcia? Right there in the center. There's a nose. There's the shaggy hair. Here's his beard. There's his mouth. Eyeball. Eyeball. No? Alright, moving on. There's the sun up there. So this is what I'm talking about. Up there, somebody could be staring at me right this moment from behind all of that foliage, and I wouldn't even know it. Do you know how I know this for a fact? Because right now, if somebody was moving down there in that creek, I could see them through all of that foliage, and they wouldn't even know I'm up here. So it's about location, because if you want to get left alone, it's easier to get people to leave you alone if they don't even know that you fucking exist. Unfortunately, I love people. They're stupid. They really are. The larger the group, the stupider the people. But that's why they're a large group. If all the stupid people stick together, they win. Right? Wrong. Stupid people rely on other people to tell them what to think. That's pretty stupid. Now, having advisors, that's pretty important if you're managing a large government, but I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in food, water, and shelter for people who have gone through hell. And I don't see a reason why they shouldn't have this in Boulder. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't have it here. So, even get the fuck out, I'm going to go find a place where I can do exactly that. Try to build myself a little Roman marching fort with blackberries on the outside. Make it so people, number one, don't want to trod through it because it's all blackberries and it'll poke the shit out of them. So they just pick around the edges. And that keeps them from approaching too closely. And then, of course, people want to make noises. Tree star. Oh my god. Alright, I'm gonna have to turn off the video. No, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't see any fairies on this trip. Some people are just superstitious, or they went to too many Deadhead shows. On the bright side, most of the trip it wasn't all garbage, like all that trash down there. We got toilet paper in the center of it. We got stuff in the garbage down there in the creek bed. Looks like a grocery bag and Pepsi can, and there's a beer cans over there and right there. Happy 4th of July or whatever. And here we go. This is where I was talking about it looking like the Lord of the Rings earlier.